We're live.
Okay. All right. Can everybody hear me remotely? Thumbs up you guys can throw just to make sure sound's working.
Yes, Michael, we can hear you.
Excellent. Okay. I'm going to call our February meeting to order. Have we confirmed quorum?
Yes.
We've confirmed quorum. Great. Our agenda is a official agenda. We have one on our action and discussion items. We have 9 consent items, so we'll be spending some time there. And then we have 5 informational. We'll get everybody out of here. We have 1 closed session item, and then we're adjourned. Okay, so that brings us to the point where I'm looking for any public comment on items that aren't listed on this agenda. This would be the time to give it. We'll wait for it. Everybody raise their hand or speak up. Chat. Okay, hearing none, we're going to go ahead and proceed. That takes us right into our action items. And we have a primary one. I believe Polly will be walking through.
Do. So today we're asking for approval from the board for services associated with the design, build, test, and deployment of a new analytics platform, along with the supporting infrastructure support and the QA services. We did recently conduct a series of sessions to review the proposed solution plan schedule with each of the regions, and as well as address other questions and concerns. We did follow up with the board per discussion at the last board meeting. We'll have regular updates going forward as well. And we also have a brief update later in today's agenda on analytics. So our next step is to move forward with, in order to move forward is approval of the contracts. So we have 3 items in this action item. First is the Deloitte change order number 5 that will utilize 19.5 million of their original 60.8 million change allowance, leaving 32.3 million for future work. Deloitte scope will be leading the design, build, test, training, and deployment. Second, we have Gainwell Infrastructure change order 5 that will utilize 2 million of the original 33.5 million change allowance. And that's the infrastructure activities associated with the effort in support of M&E. That's core platform setup, its operations, connectivity to AWS. Approval would leave 30.4 million for future work. And then lastly, we have the ClearBest work order that will utilize 273,000 of the original 8.8 million for the QA services. Now, as a heads up, we do have another ClearBest work order coming up on consent that will fully utilize the remaining balance, but we concurrently have a change order with state review right now to replenish that allowance. The costs are covered in our OEPDU and accounted for in our JPA project budget. So with that, it's back to you, Michael.
Well, we all know that analytics is incredibly important to all of our directors, especially right now. So I'm glad that we're pursuing extra research to assist in that area. I do appreciate the county follow-up meetings to get into greater detail. I think those were needed. I also just want to pose a question back in terms of how we're served for analytics in the meantime, while this is being developed, and it seems to be it's going to be stood up as a separate platform. Will any of the reports we rely on now be impacted? Will we have any instability in that process, or how do you guys plan to address it?
Yeah. So no, the current reports will continue to support. In addition to that, when the HR1 reporting requirements came, we stood up the ad hoc working group. That working group will continue to, support the ad hoc request until the new platform is stood. So again, Michael, as we have heard throughout the transition process, continuity of operations. So while we work on the new project, the existing processes will continue to support. Even beyond that, I know there were some concerns that once you have the new platform, the existing data sources or pipelines we support for San Diego and LA, what will happen to them? Those will also continue. We will never disrupt those existing.
All right, any data lake, if we're doing anything there?
Well,
Extraction.
Yes. Yeah. No. Now, I will say this, that we strongly believe that once the new platform is stood up, the solutions, the data pipes will provide probably will be better than what we have today, but we will not discontinue the existing data pipes.
Other questions or comments from our board members, state partners on this?
Thanks so much for bringing this forward. Really appreciate it. I noticed in the item, there's a number of assumptions here. And I'm wondering, as I look at these assumptions, they seem to be like, they're not contingencies, but they're kind of aligned, right? So I'm understanding these things have to happen for this proposal to happen. And some of these things look like have costs associated with them. So like the first one is that, one assumption is the Abraham Lake House and the visualization reporting tool software is procured by the consortium and available to the lawyer. So is that cost for that included in this item?
No, that is actually part of our base allowance for hardware, software. We're leveraging the base.
Okay. Are there,
Plans for that procurement are underway.
okay.
Gainwell is our, sorry.
Sorry.
That Gainwell is the procurement arm for that, and they've been working on that.
Okay, so of these 16 assumptions, are there any in there that are not already budgeted for?
The only one, I don't know, I haven't read all 16. Actually, I don't recollect all 16. The one which we are still trying to figure out is the visualization tool, right? So that is the only one. But we have few options. That is not on the risk path, but that is the only one to my knowledge we are still trying to figure it out.
Okay, I appreciate that because I think this is an investment we're making.
Yeah.
And it's a really important investment to us. And at the same time, I wouldn't want to be surprised by large expenditures later that we weren't aware of at this point. Like if we move forward and then we have no choice but to make another large purchase, I just want to.
I will say we have made a plan for the software, whether it's Power BI or other visualization tool, we have a plan to cover those costs.
Okay, and are you expecting any county costs as we move forward towards this new services?
Not to my knowledge. Unless there's a surprise.
Well, I'm trying to prevent surprises.
Yeah. No, I think the whole idea here is that once we stood up the platform or stand up the platform, counties will have their individual space. And once we provide the base solution, and if the counties feel that we want to add an additional column or do a different sort criteria, they will be able to do that. And that'll be at no cost.
Yeah, okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Other questions or comments from our board members, state partners? That siren wasn't for this item. I'm not seeing any hands up. Nobody room. So, all right, and we'll conclude and go to public comment. Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Was that?
Right.
Robert?
Okay, Ethan,
Approve.
Becky,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Francina,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Veronica, have you been able to join? Kristen,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and Rogelio.
I think I have to abstain. I wasn't able to make it to the location today, Michael. So I'm good.
Yes. Got the votes for a motion pass?
Yes.
And we're on to much larger slate of action items. Is that all we get?
I think Julia and I are both going
Julia.
to cover this one. Some of the,
Oh, this is the minute, yeah. Okay, we have approval of the minutes and the review of the action items, so I wanted to go through those really quickly. We have 9 action items, but the first 3 are ongoing. So I'll just call those out to provide a quarterly update. My gosh. Provide a quarterly update on recruitment with the fiscal report, so that's an ongoing thing for Holly. Present defects statistics for onshore versus offshore. beginning in May and quarterly thereafter. So again, that's on the vendor, our vendor partners on that. So that's another ongoing action item. Provide CalSA system stability tickets and defect stats routinely, including Highland SLAs. Again, that's an ongoing thing. Pivoting to the other items, meet with Marla Stewart to discuss specific reports that are needed. We completed that. We visited Contra Costa and discussed the items. Present draft reports for review prior to finalizing. We suggest closing this as it'll be a part of the analytics project and conducted as a part of the requirements phase when we get started. The number 7 is evaluate current timeline for analytics implementation to see if it can be accelerated. We've shared the timeline and clarifications on the timeline during the road shows. And so we will continue to do that as we move forward. Number 8 is provide the board an overview of the impacts on the counties that do not have a data lake. So we have confirmed that the analytics platform will have the data lake and will store the data for all 58 counties. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in on that, but I think we have confirmation there. And then the plan analytics demonstration sessions for directors and look into partnering with CWDA. So we did complete demonstration sessions in the overviews with the regions, and we are in progress as we explore opportunities with CWDA to demo that as well. So that is a mouthful, and that is the conclusion of our action items.
The next one on the consent item is the appointment of Region 6 JPA board member, Rogelio Tapia, as the FSED governance member. So that's with that appointment as a board member taking the place of Cynthia McCoy Miller. We're asking for board approval of that. And of course, that's coordinated by CWDA. And now the next several items are related to various contract items. They're covered by our project budget or separately funded or county purchase related, and they all do fall within our JPA project budget. They are further described in our executive summary, so I'll try and be brief in the spirit of efficiency here. The first one is Deloitte M&E Change Order 6. This is 3 premise items. There are additional M&E hours as well, which align to our OAPDU, and we have 3 county purchases. This will utilize 7 million of the original 60.8, leaving 25.2 million for future work. Next, we have Gainwell Infrastructure Change Order 6. So this is infrastructure activities associated with the contact center enhancements, including expansion of the call summarization, which we heard about last month. There's also software product updates to align to the AWS native solutions, as well as implementation of a contact center disaster recovery. Again, these are all in alignment with the funding in our OAPDU. This change order will utilize 3.9 million of the 33.5 million, leaving 26.4 million for future work. Next, we have another Gainwell infrastructure change order that includes technology upgrades. We did keep this separate just to keep the scope clear and clean like that. But these do include updates, several major upgrades, identity access management, Oracle, and you're going to hear a little bit more about the identity access management update a little bit later. And you might recall we did mention a few of these a few months ago when we were talking about some of the prioritization. We have products that are coming to end of life and they need to be updated. So these are critical efforts. And they are above the baseline activities in order to meet the deadlines for those end of life products. The next item on the list is, for that item, it's 4.8 million. And that will leave a balance of 21.5 million for future work. Next is Deloitte Portal Mobile Change Order 11. This is to exercise the last 2 months of optional months that will take us through May 31st, 2026. There's no change to the total contract value, but board approval will fully utilize the remaining optional extension allowance. With the delayed start to the benefits cal transition, we will also need to add an additional 2 months beyond May, but that is going through a state and federal review and approval process currently. Next is a Portal Mobile work order that is for 3 premise items for 448.9 thousand of the 33 million change allowance, and that will leave 16 million for future work. We have ClearBest work order 10, which is for 4 premise items. And this one is the one I mentioned earlier that will fully utilize that change allowance. But again, we have a change order going through that state and federal review and approval process to replenish that. Then lastly, finally, we have central print change order 5. This will include the print services for 7 premise items, and that will utilize 1.4 million of the 19.9 million change allowance, leaving a balance of 13.4 million for future work. And there are a number of these because we did with the January governor's budget, we have a number of things where we verified the funding, and so now the next step is for the contracts. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Michael.
Okay. One of them, at least one of them, I think E might be where it was captured, but where we're going to be changing some platforms. I think I heard you say Oracle. Like, what part of Oracle? Is there something more to that? What is that? It's changing out? Is that end of life, or is that just a change?
But actually, it's 2-part. One is to actually improve performance on the database server by moving to an Oracle Exadata in the AWS cloud. And that also will allow us to have increased capacity because we did have some under our capacity management planning. We did spot some potential long-term capacity items that we wanted to address. So we are moving the databases onto those high performance, perfectly tuned boxes for Oracle, or that's what they do, right? Those boxes are specific to running big, major Oracle databases. And then the second one is a major upgrade of the platform because we do need to bring it up to
Just the whole DBMS, the whole database platform. And that's the one that makes me a little bit more nervous is, how do you guys plan to stage that? I mean, I look along the timeline and we have vulnerabilities for less ability to absorb hiccups in the environment.
Yep.
And how are we going to be flexible around that? Because we can't drive to a date that actually causes us to do an upgrade in the middle of when we're putting in an HR1 change that's so needed.
Yeah. We are actually working very closely with Deloitte to make sure that we move into their release schedule at the right moment so that we do not disrupt any of that. And that we also get into their release at the start of a release so we can move all the way from test development all the way through with that release on the new database platform. So we are also being flexible, understanding that the enhancements that you need in terms of functionality need to be prioritized over making this happen. But we do also want to get that worked in an appropriate timeframe.
Do you guys have a plan around stress testing and performance testing? And because that's been one of my experiences in the past. That vendor and some of our other database vendors. Has the tuning that's been done over the years isn't there anymore, and now you went to another version and ended up having performance.
Couple of things there. Ben had those experiences as well. So we are doing baseline testing to see what we look like out of the box, followed by heavy tuning, followed by repeats of performance regression, stress testing, endurance testing, the whole cycles multiple times. At this point, we actually have them planned for 3 rounds to make sure that all the tuning actually gets us hopefully better than where we are right now with the performance. And certainly we will have increased the capacity. So we have a whole round of that testing, multiple rounds of that testing
Do
planned.
you guys have commitment from Oracle to put people on the ground, so we're not looking for engineers at the last minute?
I actually, having been around, having done this a few times, pre-engaged them. So I have them on,
Makes a difference.
I have them under contract and they are on my speed dial actually, and I have used it and they have responded.
The other one that has caught my attention is the identity management, because identity management's everything. Everything runs through there again. The last time we made that change was to ForgeRock from Oracle Access Management, I think, and there was a lot of performance issues. And why would we make that change? We had some struggles, I don't know how long ago, but there was some stability issues that kind of came up in that environment. Now we're moving, it looks like we're moving to a whole nother product. That one I really want to see, and I think we need to have transparency around these big changes to come back and inform the board, keep updates flowing. I think we were very transparent when we went from the Oracle Access Management, very transparent, all of the time, to Forgeron. Because that could really hit us. So I want to see like how you plan to keep us all ready and where we're at, what the fallback is, the regular performances, where we're gonna go back to. How's that opening up?
Yeah, we were, I've got a slide coming up, so I won't go into it here, but we definitely do have migration planning, same situation. Having been here before, I am engaging the vendor, ahead of time so that they're available to us, et cetera, but we'll be talking about that in an upcoming.
Yeah, this is a new vendor, so I don't know. If you have like this.
Not a new vendor to us, but it is definitely a new vendor.
So that's a new. But it's not. Okay, other questions, comments from our board member, state partners? This is a slate of 9. 9 items, including our budgets. Any questions, any comments about any of them?
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Julia, you went through the action items and there was one of the action items that was related to the data, all the data work that you were closing. I missed which one that was.
The impacts on the counties, are you talking about that one, Marla?
Yeah, what number is that? There was.
There was, the, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are you referring to?
Provide a board overview of the impacts on the counties and don't have to be like, okay, you're closing that one,
Yeah.
but all the others are staying open.
Yeah, no, we completed the meeting with you at the beginning. We're this the 3rd, 4th, 5th. We present draft reports for review prior to finalizing. That will be a part of the analytics project itself and conducted as a part of the requirements phase. And so we suggested closing that. And then considering the outside entities, that one, who are utilizing the reports, we confirmed that there is a plan to design those reports in analytics, the analytics solution, and we already have sample exemplar reports and the reports that are currently being used. Contra Costa provided those for us. Evaluate current timeline for analytics implementation to see if it can be accelerated. We have shared the timeline and provided clarifications on the timelines during the analytics, the roadshows that we did. So we suggested closing this one. And I just talked about the next one. And then the last one was the plan analytics demonstrations. So we did do the demonstrations with the regions, and then this one is in progress. This one we shouldn't close because we still need to coordinate with CWDA on that one.
I think there's a lot here about reports that need to stay in front of us. I think like presenting draft reports for review, we barely touched that. I mean, that's not even something about it yet. That has been an ongoing and constant thing. You can't be, obviously you're not going to be publishing reports that counties have reviewed and validated, right? There's that. I think the timeline is very long, 6 years to get to a final, right? It looks like that's what the timeline is.
There's no 6 years.
What am I looking at here?
So the first actual live, and we were going to talk about this.
We have a slide.
On this, but
On the timeline?
yeah, so from Simi today, we did actually, I don't need this. It's actually 13 months.
Yeah.
Where we'll see the first.
Yeah.
First actually, where you all will be able to use the system, but
The first product is much different than the things done.
Yeah, I think what we are looking to get to is 80% of the operational reporting needs. We want to provide that by month 12, end of month 12, which is where the significant heavy lifting is. So we have a slide there, but that's where our focus is going to be.
Um.
Yeah.
Because the timeline here takes us out pretty far. Timeline takes us out 28, 29.
Uh,
This is in the contract.
Oh, in the contract, yeah, so that's not,
The timeline takes us out to 28, 29.
yeah, that's a contract, that's not the.
There are recurring services
Okay.
as well.
yeah.
That may be what you're looking at.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
I had the same questions that before Marla brought them up. I'm not sure, we're all not privy to the conversation that took place with Contra Costa, or what reports were included in that. Or which reports are proposed to be like in this closure and included in this 13, whatever it's 12, 13-month timeline. So I'm not, if that is the concept to close those all together, then I am completely agree with Marla that item needs to not be on there. If there's some specific part of it that we need to close, I think we need to be pretty specific about that. Otherwise, we need to remove that from today's consent items and then revisit.
So you all want, which ones of these not?
So the minutes
So
can
the
be
minutes- the
approved,
minutes are approved.
but you can still leave whatever
we can
action
leave-
items you want
Yeah,
open.
just let us know which
Okay,
ones we want.
Okay, and then I think it seems like it's obvious that we need to have a standing item for analytics.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, continuously, every,
Yeah.
Gonna let me use this.
where we get more detail.
For a second.
And then I'm gonna want one on the updates and to the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Each of those have huge impacts on the counties. So,
Okay, just so we can, in terms of the action items themselves that we want to keep on the agenda. We are closing the one that we met with Marla, because we did. Present draft reports for review prior to finalizing. We suggest closing that.
That just doesn't stay open.
You want to just keep that one open?
I'm talking about
Okay,
it.
that's the one. Okay, all right, that's the. Keep this one.
other comments, questions from our board members, state partners?
Can you just clarify if they're keeping the timeline open or if we're closing that one? Because
Well, Go ahead, Becky, so.
Timeline?
yes, the timeline for the data analytics and looking at where there's opportunities to shorten that timeline. I understand it may not be the whole time that's in the contract, but it was still on the roadshow even, we said, and I don't know if I was at the beginning of the presentations of the roadshow or at the end, in the middle, where, but I do know from our roadshow discussion that one of the things that I had said is that, and so did Bill, son, as the alternate, that we would like to see it shortened and look at ways that can be done. And I was thinking it was a 24-month. I don't have it right in front of me at the moment, so I apologize.
Okay.
But I think it was a 24-month. And so I think it's important that we keep that open to look at opportunities, even as we're moving forward in the development, for where we can shorten that timeline, because I think it's critical for the work that we're
Yeah, the
doing.
timeline should be part of the monthly, every.
Be that.
But it should have the timeline in there, and that way we can continue to say, okay, where is it being brought in?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to close it.
Yeah.
All I remember is crystal reports from you, Becky.
It's all you have from me? Oh, killing me.
Stuff, especially the boards.
All right, all right.
Okay, another good one, in terms of action items, if we have action items that are affiliated with that, those would stay open as well. Standing item continues to address. Any other comments, questions, from our board member, state partners? Okay, hearing none, any public comment? Okay, do we have a motion to approve this slate? As amended.
So moved.
Oh, even that. All right. So there.
Here today, right?
You're feeling the room. Vision problem. Asians here.
I'm a big guy.
Do we have a second? I didn't hear.
I can second.
Second.
Okay, Marla,
Yes.
Roderick,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Yes.
Francina,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Veronica, were you able to get to the location of the agenda?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, and your vote is yes or no?
yes, that was my vote.
Okay, thank you. Michael
Yes.
and Rogelio has to abstain.
Yes.
since he
Thank
missed
you.
location.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Takes us into our informational items and Olive, it has your name there.
Yeah. So this is our quarterly update on the financials and staffing update. So, again, to be efficient today, we are just being very brief. We've attached the report. You can just jump to the next slide. This is just the summary today. I think we'll see here that we are, looking good for the year. We are projecting a little bit of savings as we've closed, been finalizing and checking everything with our closeout of the Accenture M&E agreement. Other than that, we are expecting close to full utilization. But all other details are in your board packet. And then for the procurement, we're on track with the QA evaluations for that procurement. And then we did, for the next slide, we released the legal RFP as scheduled, and we held a bidders conference on February 11th. So we're on track there as well. Back to you, Michael.
We're on time. That's amazing. Any questions from the board member state partners on the CMO update? Hearing none, any public comment? Okay, then we'll move on to the next item, and I believe that's the modernization efforts and data analytics is item.
All right, so I won't spend much time on this slide. I mean, we've talked quite a bit why we need the new platform. I actually want to go to the next slide with a lot of questions on the timeline.
Yeah, and I also want to preface that we're going to be diving more in detail in future meetings and a longer agenda items. This is not an example of the level that we'll be discussing this. It'll be much deeper.
Yep, completely understand. So if you look at the timeline, what we are planning to do here is in the right after the 12-month mark is where we are saying is we'll provide the core operational reports and the analytics tied to it. And what I mean by that is almost like 80% of the county's day-to-day reporting needs. We are trying to get all that work done by end of month 12. The phase 2 is where then we'll expand additional operational areas such as fiscal and provider and continue to expand the self-service capabilities. And then phase 3 is where we bring the non-CalSOS data such as benefit calcs and imaging and data center. But if you look at in this 22-month timeline, it's the first 12 months is where we are doing the significant heavy lifting. So while it shows 22 months, but a lot of the county's day-to-day operational needs, we'll try to fulfill those in the first 12 months, along with the self-serving capabilities. So I'll pass it. Thanks.
When does month 1 start?
March 1st. Yep. That is the plan. Yep. So we put the month 1 to month 22, not knowing when this will start. But with today's approval, we are starting the project March 1st. Questions on the timeline? Okay, let's go to the next slide.
It'll be a question every month. I'm sure.
I'll be prepared. Next time I'll have Jerry answer the question.
I'm misunderstanding.
So again, won't go into the details here, but a few things I want to highlight here is, I think one example I'll always keep bringing is when the HR1 came along and there was a request to identify the Medi-Cal and CalFresh impacted population, we did not have an easy way to do that. We had to stand up an ad hoc reporting group. We have to gather the requirements, create the queries, and it was a good 6 to 8 weeks project. With the analytics platform, we truly believe that 6 to 8 weeks timeline will be compressed, I would say 2 weeks at the most, 3 weeks, at least cut down significantly. So that's one big benefit we see. The other I see here is for all 58 counties, you will see the consistent reporting, how the data is queried and accessed, right? And of course, as the analytics platform is stood up and as the time goes by, you will see the true analytics benefits such as predictive analytics, and we can do all kinds of other, scenario analysis and everything. So we really see the benefits of this platform. And honestly, I'm very excited to start this project March 1st, and I truly believe that we'll build a platform which will serve the counties for years. This is that we are doing Databricks underlying. Then visualization tool, we still have a couple of tools that I think. Yeah. Questions? Go to the next slide, and I'll hand it over to Don.
Yep. So this is the slide I just said we would have on.
Yeah.
Item modernizations. Yes, so again, the target in the middle obviously is as seamless as possible. We do understand that this affects counties, benefits Cal users. This is definitely a particular project that we'll be watching very closely. We are going into the planning kickoff part of this starting in March. So right now I'm basically going to give you sort of the high level plans of what we're thinking. And then we'll have much more detailed plans coming here in the future. But I did want to let you know that we were going to have a major change here regardless of what we did. So as you know, we've been trying to start using the verbiage around Forge Rock of Ping identity because there was a business acquisition that went on. That means products came together and the product roadmaps have changed tremendously. So there was no let's just do another version upgrade. There was going to be a major change no matter what we did. Seeing that coming, we felt that it was time to really assess the market and say, is this where we should be? Because we're going to have to go through a major change no matter what. In doing that, we have spent about 8 months actually analyzing 3 of the market leaders in this area, our current system being one of them. And we did do pretty much a full sort of unofficial RFI process, evaluation. We put out requirements. We had each vendor respond. We did follow-up presentations. We did pretty much a full analysis, including the migration path and how we could minimize disruption to everyone. So that's that first box up there, the extensive evaluation to identify the best solution. We did come as a group to the conclusion that one really did stand out above the rest. And that is the one that we have chosen to migrate to. Given that we are now about to start this, we are kicking it off on that next one as a major project. So what that means is full project planning, completely integrated into our project and portfolio management tools, making sure we're tracking everything against a project in the way that you would expect under project management principles. And we will also have a dedicated staff who's doing this. The next one, communication plan, progress updates, plan communications both to the counties and back to this organization. This is definitely one that we know that you all want to keep your eyes on as well as the counties. And it's important that we do communicate quickly if there are going to be any impacts out to the counties. Services, we did, as I mentioned a little earlier, engage professional services to assist with the implementation and migration from the vendor themselves, along with bringing in some folks that we have who have gone through this process before. And we had researched and gotten references from the incoming solution on actual migrations from Forge Rock, Ping Identity, even I can't get it right, to the new vendor. So we did actually check all of that out as well. And last but not least, the high level plan for the implementation is in waves. So the idea really is that we will be able to actually take, so for example, start with some of the things that use our current IAM that are internally impactful to the project only, for example, or to even our organization first and make sure that those are all working. And we do have a path of migration that will allow us to actually have both solutions running at the same time as we then bring in more and more applications with, of course, our riskiest applications coming at the end. So that's the migration path that we are planning. I gave you some tentative dates in that last bubble. We are shooting for that those first migrations, less risky ones in like the October-ish timeframe. And to try to have this rolled out by early, that should have been 27.
I was like,
Boy, I wish I was done. Wouldn't that be great? So it should have been by January of 27 is when we're hoping to complete this out. And at that point, again, these dates are not, we haven't gone through the full project planning yet. So the dates I'm giving you, besides being in the wrong year, are not in stone at this point, obviously, until we can do a full project planning and test out a few of the ideas we have on the migration now. So that's actually the last slide in this area. So it is back to you, Michael.
I'm gonna probably hold my questions till we have more details to discuss, because it's much more about this plan and how we're gonna be able to stage this. Any interdependency, especially with the authorization versus authentication and how you're gonna do that. So I'm gonna hold that. But I'm gonna go ahead and ask if there's any other questions or comments from our board member state partners. All right, hearing none, any public comment? Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next item. We're slightly behind schedule. Let's see if we can catch up. I think was that from HR one?
yes, yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Roger. So I just want to point out here at our last meeting, we did receive a request to split out the Medi-Cal state budget SCRs into its own slide, and that's been completed and is reflected on slide 21. Outside of this, we don't have any significant updates for the policy SCRs, the HR1 work group, and the CalFresh processing SCRs since our last meeting. So we have retained those slides for reference. But for today's update, we'd like to focus on the workload management redesign effort targeted for our May release, along with associated organizational change management activities to help prepare the counties for this change. So if it's okay, and if there are no questions, if we could move to slide 30, please.
That's a different topic, Roger. So we need to,
Next.
it's the same speaker, so he just wants to go to the next topic. So it's open for questions or policy.
Yeah.
So you're done.
Yeah.
Presentation over? Okay. All right, any questions, comments, to Roger on that? I know that HR one's on everybody's mind, and it looks like we're working on our plan. Are there any questions based on this? Comments? Any public comment? Oh, wait a minute, back to directors.
I'm not a board member, so public comment. Just a quick question. I just want to know if the project could provide how far along are we, and do we expect to have all these changes in the system by the target policy changes?
Yes, good question. We are tracking towards all the policy dates, all of the effective dates for the HR1 policy items. You'll see those again referenced in the slide material. Just to point out, we have two key policy items that are coming up. The first one being the CalFresh non-citizen eligibility changes that are effective April 1st. The project has a priority release March 31st to get those changes in. And then we have the big ABOD changes that are effective, have a policy effective of June 1st. And those are targeted to be implemented in the system with the CalSAW's May 18th release. So at this point, yes, we are on target for those items.
I noticed that the first one you mentioned is going into effect June 1st and you're targeting for May 31st. May I am concerned the counties have an opportunity to train to the new functionality and to get our staff ready. Seems like it's hard to have new functionality the day before actually we're required to implement.
Yeah, so the June 1st item that I spoke about, that's the ABOD changes. So this is something that we've been preparing a lot of material around. We've opened up the PRT environment for counties to go in, get familiar with the existing functionality. We have planned demos, we have user guides, we have web-based training that will also be developed and shared with the counties in preparation for those changes.
Thank you.
I just have one other follow-up. Last month, we brought up that there was an opportunity to leverage CDSS funding to do some more user-friendly programming in CalSAWS around ABOD. plus a few other things, but last month's topic was ABOD. So my question is, have we already delved into with the worker group or anyone else, which ones of those changes need to be included in this and prioritize them?
We have. So we, as part of our ABOT work group, we're covering some of those enhancements that CDSS would like to develop. One particular one is a dashboard that centralizes all information in a single place for workers to be able to see those exemptions for ABODs. The team is working on a implementation plan to get that in. It will be after the ABOD policy change is implemented into CalSAWS, but we are looking to try to get that in by this year, hopefully, a few months after that ABOD policy is implemented.
Okay, and then just one other follow-up, which probably hasn't been in any conversation, but just throwing it out for sake of consideration as we move forward with the Medi-Cal work requirements coming into play and how those have to be met versus state guideline and federal guideline versus opportunity to leverage state guidelines that align with ABOD and the work requirements that people use work programs for, because you can do less hours. And we talked about this a little bit today at directors meeting, but just want to make sure that we have that on our radar as we look at implementing something for Medi-Cal work requirements. We need to make sure that we're not just programming to federal if we can leverage something at the state level. So, I'm not sure if staff are talking about that group, but don't want to lose sight of the fact that it's kind of a both and in a lot of these regards to Fed versus state.
Yes, noted. Sharon, not sure if you have any additional information there, but I took note of that.
Yeah, whatever we are implementing for the Medi-Cal work requirements and community engagement, we are working closely with DHCS and who is also working closely with CDSS. So whatever is in place and defined for CalFresh ABOD is, as strong as possible. We are aligning it for the Medi-Cal work requirements.
Okay, thank you. And then just one additional to the point about testing. A lot of these things, it's the first time we're going to be using CalSAWS for them. I think we can all anticipate we're going to see hiccups with the system not working how we expect. And there has to be some lead time of being able to test some of these so we don't run into a situation where we can't effectively use the system.
The Medi-Cal work requirements and community engagement, as well as the 6-month renewals, are going into CalSAWS 2609, which is well before the 1/1/2027 effective date. And so there will be an opportunity between that time for counties to get more experience with the functionality.
So this might be obvious to everyone else, but I get the comments about there's already a environment where you can be practicing and stuff like that. But that environment, to my knowledge, is not programmed with the new rules.
Exactly.
It's the old rules. So I think that what we're seeking is like clarity when the new rules will be programmed. And I get that's going to be kind of hard to navigate because you still have to, maybe it's you still have to apply old policy, right? Like that could be, but that shadow environment with everything programmed for how it's going to be is what I think everyone's seeking access for. And when.
Is there like a UAT where basically you would have it set up with the new rules?
Because you don't want it live right now, right? Like you don't want it, yeah.
The PRT.
Yeah.
No, but I think, Roger, you can speak to that. I think the point of opening up that test environment was because for some, they had no perspective on it so at least here's the baseline. And then these changes will be additive to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Roger, if you can, I know you touched upon it in terms of the training and all the materials that we'll be putting out ahead of the actual implementation.
Lose Roger?
Frozen. Everybody. He's very thoughtful, intensive. Yeah.
We lost Roger.
We lost Roger, but we'll absolutely.
Yeah.
Kristen.
Yeah,
We're trying to get so much.
Thing isn't go live, right? It's not go live and then test it while we're in the system, wait for something to blow up and hopefully can back it out. We have to be able to test it in a different environment first to make sure we're not just looking something that's going to crash something else in the system. So the two environments have to be caught up with each other in current functionality plus the new test it, and then see if we run it into the current functionality in prod. That's what I think is missing. So thank you, Kristen, for.
I'm sorry, my internet dropped.
Roger, did you hear what I was saying?
I got a little piece of it. So just want to comment, yes, the PRT environment has existing functionality. And yes, it will get the new functionality as it's deployed to production. The other thing to note is that these items are going through county validation prior to being deployed to production. So the counties will have an opportunity to validate, to test the functionality, to confirm that it's working as expected. And then we do have a sandbox environment that gets the system test or the code base prior to being deployed that is available to the counties to go in and do some click through. That will for ABOD, that will begin in March when the first code base is delivered to our actual system test team to do their validation. So there's those opportunities there to click through, as well as the training that I referenced.
So I think the consensus here is that we need to make sure there's an environment that does have the new rules in it ahead of the deployment date, and that the counties have access, whatever way that we can do to be effective and not have everybody trample on each other, changing all the data. But we've done this before, so we just need to make sure there's an environment that can support that. Kicking that back to the project to make sure that happens. Any other comments or questions from our board members, state partners? Okay, back to public comment. Okay, then we're going to move to the workload management, which is the next item. And just a reminder, we are behind, so expeditious station.
All right, thank you. So the workload management redesign effort began in 2024 with a goal of enhancing functionality to better assist staff with assigning intakes to eligibility workers, scheduling and rescheduling intake appointments, establishing worker availability, and tracking intake appointments. Through a series of regional workshops, the formation of a dedicated work group, regional manager touch points, and county site visits, 7 key focus areas for system enhancements were identified. First being assisting counties in scheduling intakes and determining the appropriate worker. The second being enhancing reports to provide more real-time and supplemental information related to intake and appointments. Third being simplifying the maintenance of worker schedule. Fourth, enhancing the view of worker schedules and appointments within the application. And the fifth, simplifying the reassignment of existing appointments. Sixth, assisting workers in prioritizing those appointments and applications. And the seventh, making sure we are training workers on the new functionality. These enhancements are being implemented in 2 phases. The first phase will be included with the CalSol's May baseline release. The second phase is targeted for the September baseline release. And so we wanted to introduce this topic, as well as cover the organizational change management activities associated with phase 1 that are helping prepare the counties for this change. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Allison, who's going to go through more of those details.
Hello, folks. Happy Friday. My name is Allison Wolfarth. I am the OCM lead supporting this effort for workload management. And key thing, we really want to highlight how we partnered with the project on what was accomplished, and then what this basically means per the change impacts from workload management redesign, and specifically phase 1. So once the design was approved in January, our team developed a plan tailored to workload management and those type of functionalities involved in order to best understand how to prep staff. Meaning, one of the key activities is analyzing the to-be processes and getting an understanding of the differences from the as-is and that level of impact. So based off of that, as we are continuing to workshop mitigation strategies to send out to regional managers, biggest takeaway is that we understand that there's going to be 3 key staff groups that are going to be impacted, and across the 49 new pages that will be changed out of all of those updates, there's going to be everyday pages folks will experience, as well as options and features that staff is going to be able to take advantage of and choose to adopt. So from all of that, it's a really user-centric design, as Roger had noted, from what they analyzed. And so from that user-centric design, we really want to make sure staff are aware how this is going to enhance their everyday workflow. So as you saw, what was accomplished for January, February from the analyzation and workshopping with the consortium team. Coming up, especially in April, we're going to be conducting enhanced regional demonstrations in relation to those 3 staff groups that we identified are mainly impacted, and breaking out across those types of features that are going to be those everyday features as well as the ones that they can choose to adopt. So those are going to be a really key engagement on the OCM front. And then we're going to pair it with mitigation strategies directed mainly towards regional managers, because per county's different business processes, we understand that from those functional changes, it may impact each county differently. So our OCM activity recommendations, communications, engagement, training materials to embrace, and readiness activities, they're going to be specific for those type of impacts. So then the regional managers understand what's changing, what this actually means, and how best can I support these specific counties in relation to their business processes. So I'm going to pause, and that's mainly what's coming on the horizon and what we've accomplished so far for workload management phase 1. Thank you.
So I have a question. This is Kristen. What at the end of this, what is this going to look like? What is this in like plain language? What's going to be the result?
In terms of the result for, sorry about that.
Just what you presented here is a lot of process, and we understand you're going to do this. What's the net?
What is it? Yeah.
So I think there's a couple things here. This is Jerry Nielsen, by the way. I'm the app manager for CalSAWS. So beyond the new functionality that's coming in for the workload management and appointments and worker schedules, things in that area, the OCM efforts will be things that come as is to be training materials, demonstrations, verifications of new processes and using the new pages. So it'll be kind of that holistic training and understanding what the change is and how that's going to impact business processes. Maybe they will either fit in or maybe some adjustment in existing processes. So when this goes live in May, the counties will be ready to pick up and running it with minimal impact to existing business day to day. That's what the purpose of the OCM part of this.
So OCM discussion, I think the question is, what is the functionality?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Can we go to the previous slide?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be the focus of future updates, is basically giving us cut to it on these are the areas that are changing.
Yeah.
This is the change management that goes with it, so that we can be specific.
Yeah, like
May is not that far out.
Yeah, like for example, it says enhanced reporting. Like what reporting are we talking about? Like the way work is going to flow to workers versus the types of productivity reports we as managers are going to have? Like what's the there?
I think that we should take that as an action to bring back to answer that question thoroughly. There's a lot of changes. I don't want to miss anything out on this. So let's go back and present that in an organized way for the board.
Okay.
If you bring it back, one thing I'm interested in is I heard, several comments that workers can choose to do what they want. That makes me a little nervous because we work in huge, massive units, and actually everybody needs to do the same process. And so I'm going to want to have confidence that we're not having workers doing different things that make it difficult for like a supervisor to be tracking what's going on.
Yeah, we will absolutely clarify that.
I would like to have a lot of detail around the intake process. We have a lot of scrutiny on our very appropriate scrutiny on our expedited in particular. So we monitor our application timelines like with a manual process, and we embrace the technology. I think we were the ones who probably were saying we need this, but it needs to be done in a way where there's an extreme level of confidence in terms of moving over to utilizing the intake. So I appreciate it, but also want to know the nitty-gritty details on that.
Understood. We'll bring that back.
I mean, the directors need to see the ground. Yeah, let's come back and dig in and have some things to really talk about. Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions on this? Our board members, step partners? There was more?
There is. No, they're done with this one. But I was going to say, Ashley, I'm sorry. I think we won't have time to do the collaboration model because we're at time window.
Is that one the board's comfortable with, having a discussion next meeting?
Are there any particular things that are gonna take place in that model that involves our partners
Now and then.
happening between now and the next meeting?
Well, no, we had the advisory group meeting, so this is basically reporting out on those recommendations.
From what came out of it, that's right.
Yes.
So you guys good with that then? We'll go ahead and do the update next meeting.
Do you want to do public comment on the last one, Michael?
Yeah, I was gonna do that. Interjected. So public comment on our, last, workload management, presentation. Okay, hearing none, we're gonna go ahead and move to closed session and we will reconvene about 50 minutes or so. Take this over there.
Jen, we see your note in the chat. The meeting has not resumed yet. We're waiting for all the board members to come back in. So we'll be on mute until we reconvene.
Just.
If you can go ahead and advance slide 43.
Was it wrong? Yeah, I thought it was one.
Shivering, wake up, crazy.
I think that was me with the echo. Just want to test real quick. For those who are remote, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
Great, then we'll go ahead and we'll reconvene our public meeting. With the report out item from closed session, there was no reportable actions taken during closed session. There was a request for public comment, so I'll open up for public comment. Jen, Tracy?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to comment that last year in September, there was an anonymous comment in the chat regarding the closed sessions. And at the time, I didn't see the comment right away. And then everything was crazy the last few months. And it's been bothering me that the comment referenced advocates. And I just want to name that I do not know who that comment was from. We did not participate in whatever they're referring to. And I don't like that that person spoke on behalf of advocates without our consent. So I just wanted to address that because I didn't have a chance to do it previously.
Okay, thank you very much for that comment. Appreciate it. Is there any other public comment? Okay, then, that takes us to, the end of the meeting, and our next meeting is Friday, March 13th. Again, we will be following CWDA's directors meeting, so we'll be back here. Back here at 1 p.m. We'll see you there. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
The 13th.
Meeting adjourned.
Can we not have meetings on Fridays at 13?